looked into by the auditors. That is forming part of our conversation tonight. Joining me in studio, we have the Third Way Alliance Kenya Party leader, Ekuru Okot, on my immediate right, and next to him is Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi. Gentlemen, thank you for making time for us. Let's get into what the president said. I'll begin with you, Ahmed Nasir. And a lifestyle audit, is this enshrined in law? Because there's some concerns about how then it begins to happen. And if it is, then why is it appearing as if we are starting off on this directive?
I think the president has expressed an idea, which is noble, and I think everybody will agree with him that if we want to form a task force or whatever mechanism to vet, civil servants or guys who work for him, it's a good idea. But there are enormous challenges that will face him. There is no legal basis for this. Secondly, there is no infrastructure for doing that. Thirdly, it can take a long time. If you want to vet everybody who works for government, that can take 3, 4, 5 years. So the idea is good, but I think the ball is in the president's court. Next week, latest, he must share with Kenyans how he wants to implement that lifestyle audit.
Yeah. Yes. Okot, do you see this as just earning political dividend? You say it, you talk tough, it just looks like there's a lot that's happening, but when it comes down to practicability, it's a different story.
Well, like Senior Counsel said, the idea is very much welcome in Kenya right now, because we need to be able to explain people's ascendancy to opulence and wealth all of a sudden. But having said that, I think the truth for the matter is that there's so much theft happening in our country today that what President Uhuru has proposed, there's a reference to it, by the way, in the anti-corruption laws, when we ask people to declare their wealth, because you want to track. If you declare your wealth today and tomorrow after 2 years you are this super rich person, then I think the idea is that we are able to audit you. So I think it's an idea that's much welcome, but President Uhuru Kenyatta should be ready that this is likely to open a Pandora's box, because we're not just looking into his administration and the public servant under his administration. Will he also be prepared to be audited, really, honestly, in terms of what he is worth? Because we know that this is one of the richest persons, not just in Africa, but in the world. Reported in the Forbes magazine and stuff like that. So it's not just enough to tell us today that under your administration, this is how much I have acquired, but we need to go back memory lane. There are people also who have benefited from the public looting of public funds today, including people in the private sector, even as lawyers here.
Beneficiaries.
They are beneficiaries of that looting. For example, all of us have worked, represented, say, public entities, and we know it's in the public entities where theft is happening. So it's not just enough to audit the lifestyle of those public servants. We must also extend it to the people who are benefiting from that theft of public money, including us lawyers.
Okay. All right, you've made a point towards looking back, and you gave an example of the president. And I want us to listen to what MP Oscar Sudi had to say in respect to that, saying that he's welcoming it, can go back to his father, and this is what else Mr. Sudi said.
Mimi nataka niunge mkono rais, tupambane na ufisadi. Na nimeona pia juzi rais amesema tunataka tufanye audit ya lifestyle. Mimi nataka niambie rais tunakuunga mkono 100%. Hata mimi Sudi nataka nifanyie audit kuanzia nikiwa makanga mpaka leo nikiwa mjumbe. Na wafanye audit pia ya baba yangu wakati alikuwa cook Moi University mpaka saa hii. Na kila mtu akubali hiyo audit ifanywe. Kila mtu kuanzia rais, sasa wewe tufanye audit, hiyo ni mzuri. Kuanzia Jomo mwenyewe kuja mpaka wewe, Sudi kuja mpaka baba yake, na maneno yaendelee.
Senior Counsel, audit the first president of the Republic posthumously. Doable?
No, that doesn't make sense, and we shouldn't waste time on that. If we go back, we will waste a lot of time, and it will not be productive. I think the important thing is, to have an audit of guys who work for government. Unfortunately, there was a lot of theft that occurred under the watch of President Uhuru Kenyatta, it's good that he has realized this can't continue any longer because, I mean, the looting has been massive. We have never, I think it was on the scale of the 90s, during Moi's time. We have not seen this kind of looting, We have seen guys grow very rich, wealthy, fabulous. There are so many people buy helicopters like they buy cars in this country. But those are public servants, guys who work for government, guys who are on a salary, and their salary is less than 1 million shillings a month. So let us start this audit. Let the president tell us what are the mechanisms or who will conduct the audit. Then Kenyans will volunteer. Everybody knows what your neighbor owns, what your local MP has, what a judge has, or what a minister has.
Yeah.
So let the game start,
Yeah, because still the question is around, even with the wealth declaration you mentioned, every 2 years public officers are expected to do that. But so far we've not seen the import of the same. We've not seen that because every 2 years, if at all, they have been declaring this information. In terms of explaining the declarations they're making, that doesn't happen. So is there a hope for this kind of pronouncement to actually bear fruit?
Sophia, one of the difficulties President Uhuru Kenyatta is likely to face, and I'll tell you this, as a political party, we really support this exercise. It must begin immediately, like senior counsel has said. But, when the thieves of public money are the people who are charged with that responsibility. Remember, it's not the first time we are doing it. Kiraitu Murungi started during the NAC administration, and it didn't go anywhere because shortly they realized, well, are we going to investigate ourselves? And that's really the crux of the matter. So we really need to go, we need to design this process in such a way that, one, it has to be transparent. It has to be beyond the people who are investigating this. My proposal will be, let them have a task force, an independent task force.
Another task force?
Let me tell you, today there is no way you can investigate effectively theft of public money, lifestyle audit, with the same government that is actually aiding in the stealing. Because let me tell you, nobody can walk into NYS today and walk away with billions of Kenya shillings like we are hearing without complicity
so
from
what
public
does
servants.
this independent task force look like? Because at the end of the day, people can easily be compromised. We've heard Mombasa governor propose international auditors.
No.
Let us not waste time on task forces because there's no task force in the history of Kenya that has delivered. Which one has delivered? There's none. So knowing that task forces don't deliver, why do you want to go task force?
No, on the contrary, I differ with counsel.
So which task force delivered?
Listen, okay, fine. If you don't want the task force, then let's start this investigation from the basics. We've had Truth and Justice and Reconciliation Commissions before. We've had findings of Wakinawaki, Kriegler, and many others. If we really want to show Kenyans that we are serious about this audit, then let's begin by implementing or enforcing the findings of those previous task forces. Okay? Because for me, the reason I'm arguing that maybe we need somebody independent outside the executive to spearhead this process is because how can anybody steal billions of Kenya shillings without complicity from the government itself? If you look at today, the people who are being charged over the NYS scandal, inside that group are government officials themselves. So I think if we truly are honest about this lifestyle audit, let's then have an independent body do this audit. I do not think government as it is today can actually do that audit, even though it's a welcome idea.
It's a welcome idea. As we stand now, we don't know who's undertaking the procurement audit in terms of the vetting and chiefs and accounting officers.
No, but you see, if we start this thing of audit or committees, we will waste a lot of time.
Okay.
Everybody knows what public servants have stolen. It's in the public knowledge. I mean, we know what ministers own, what houses they have, what companies they bought, how much. The government has a lot of intelligence. You'll be surprised. Yeah. All that intelligence, we just need to have the president to tell us, that he will start with himself and he will invite all Kenyans to bring dossiers about him. These things about dossiers is the most important thing because that is how corruption is investigated. So if the president says, for example, that he doesn't have anything, people will say, no, but you have a house there, you have cars here, you have shares here. You didn't have these things when you were, prime minister. These are things you have acquired now. Come and explain. then the deputy president, People will ask him,
So who investigates? Who is this independent entity or persons that get to look into the president, the deputy president?
You can have, what's this called, multi-agency, the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission, the DPP, intelligence, police, CID, such kind of an ad hoc body. That is, if you want to start quickly. But if you want to start and say that, the president will advertise, guys will apply, law society will nominate, the judge will, we are wasting time. This is, it needs like martial law emergency, something that is so drastic that even it will not give opportunity for guys to hide their properties.
You know what?
Yeah.
Money. I want to build on that point by Hamid Nasir. Then if we don't want to waste more time on creating an independent entity, let's even forget about this lifestyle audit. Let's begin by punishing people who have not been able to account for public money. My argument is this. We already have the Auditor General report that indicates Governor XYZ, Cabinet Secretary, PS, Chairman, this parastatal has not accounted for billions of Kenyan shillings. Then let's begin by by punishing those people. DPP that he is making reference to should be able then to say the Auditor General report is a masterpiece of evidence. The Auditor General is an expert witness. The accountants we send to audit this, this institution are prosecution witnesses. How about when we start from there? Because then, otherwise, this is just going to be a
playing
PR.
to the public gallery.
Absolutely.
Isn't that a valid point?
Yeah.
That if President Kenyatta is to show seriousness, begin with investigations that have already been done. TJRC, the Auditor General report.
No, those are different things.
Are they different?
Yes, TJRC, those are political processes. What we are concerned
There
about...
are issues, there are atrocities
Yes, but those
that were committed.
That's not corruption. What is killing this country is theft of public funds, I mean, we have on the authority of Kenya, who is the president's advisor, that 60% of our budget is stolen. Yes. He has said that so many times. So we want to see who has stolen this budget. And this budget is basically stolen by the executive, the ministers, guys who are chairman of parastatals. So it is easy to start the process. And I will not be surprised if the president, in my view, gives 1 month amnesty for people to declare they have stolen and they can return some. Yes, because I think it's so easy to discover this. It's so easy to know what you have built in your rural home or what you have built in Lavington. It's so easy. I mean, the government has already this information. Give guys 1 month to declare, to have an amnesty so that they can say that this is what I've stolen, I'm willing to return this percent. And the government can say, return 90%, we'll give you 10%.
Yeah.
But in my view, the important thing is to go after these poor civil servants who earn 200, 300,000, but who have billions in properties. Like, for example, if we do an audit of the helicopters in this country, all the helicopters in this country are owned either by ministers or guys in parliament or guys in the executive. They are about 100, 200. So we'll just tell them they had 200 helicopters. We'll get the details from the Kenya Civil Aviation. We know how much it costs. Can you explain to us this helicopter, how you have acquired? If they can't, there's a department in the Attorney General that can just seize properties and the onus will be on you to explain how you have acquired. And the government knows that.
But to the extent when they hide or have this property under their spouses or children's name and that those are not then in themselves public officers, then they can get away with it,
No. But you see, you do something called tracing. If I have a son and I put all my properties in my son, my son will be told, come and explain this. Of course, he will have no explanation. And the law is that once you cannot explain, the property is seized by the government. But
in the first instance, by the time you're asking someone to explain, they're explaining on account of what? Isn't there a charge, or do you just come and say you just need to explain everything?
Okay, without really, let's not theorize on this issue.
Okay.
I think, going back Ahmed Nasir's argument, why don't we do first things first? We have an audit report that shows you, Minister X or Governor Y, cannot confirm to us how you spend XY number of billions. How about we start there? Basics. Why are we going on a fishing expedition about somebody's lifestyle? Start chasing people and saying, oh, Nasir, we know your son or your daughter. That's a long exercise. It's a fishing. We already have reports that shows so and so cannot actually account for XY amount of money or expenditure amount of money. How about we start there?
Right.
For me, really, this whole thing is going on a fishing expedition, because you see, even though Nasir, I hear him say you don't have to go back. If President Uhuru is going to follow on this exercise, he should be prepared to open a Pandora's box, because there are people who will tell you, well, I live, an expensive lifestyle because I inherited wealth from, say, my father or so and so. But Article 40, sub-Article 6 of the Kenya Constitution says that we protect rights of the people, but not property that was acquired illegally or irregularly. Are we prepared with that? And this is what this lifestyle audit is likely to go. For me, if we want to cut the shortcut, let's start with the thieves that we know today. The thieves who we gave money last year, in the last financial year, and we are giving money in the next financial year, who cannot account for us how they spend this money.
Okay.
Today, we should be able to see a number of governors being arraigned in court, a number of cabinet secretaries being arraigned in court, permanent secretaries and everybody, including the office of the president, deputy president, who cannot confirm value for money. The Auditor General has spoken about that. So why are we avoiding that which has already been given to us in evidence, that there is really no accountability for money, and we are going to start chasing people,
Some ministers don't agree. They should look into the president's father and what he inherited and the other siblings, and as far as how was it acquired.
No. That nobody can undertake that process. You can't go 50 years back the way. The point I was making is that let us not waste time. There is hot evidence we have of, for example, how a minister has acquired wealth the last 2 years. We have a lot of evidence on how an MD of a parastatal has stolen a lot of money the last 5 years. Let us first start with this. If you want to go 50 years down the road, it's up to you. But the tragedy of this whole exercise is that the president has admitted that the government has failed to tackle this problem, that we have not been fighting corruption. He is admitting that people have been stealing, that his government has failed to address this issue.
Is his approach what the country needs? Is it a coherent one? Because there are people reading all manner of intentions. Others saying it's the DP being targeted. Others saying there's a direction it's taking. Is it coherent to you? Is this how to approach?
You see, first, you see, who is not corrupt in this government? Who is not? Who is not? Everybody is. I will be surprised if there is anybody who can raise his hand to say that.
So you're saying the president is corrupt?
Yes. Let's not.
But
let
he's
me
the
finish.
head of government.
Who is not corrupt in this government? In terms of public money that cannot be accounted for. Public money spent when there's no value you can see. So the president has realized that there's a big problem in this country and things cannot just continue like this. So I think from next week he must tell us that this is my blueprint to address this. This is a problem we have. It can't continue any longer. And I don't think it's targeting anybody. Corruption is a national emergency. We are facing an enormous crisis.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you don't think it's targeted towards the DP?
No, I don't think.
People come out to.
I think this will net so many people that the net will be surging.
Sophia, when people say it's targeted at the DP, why?
His allies are coming out to say they feel...
Is it an admission that probably the guy is corrupt? Is it an admission?
It's the question out there.
No, but listen, I just want us to simplify this fight on theft of public money.
Right.
I do not want us to go on a fishing expedition. While I support the idea of lifestyle audit, right now we are not sure what formula the president is going to apply in check, because that's fishing expedition.
No. But let me tell you, the entire process is premised on a fishing expedition. Yes. We don't know what these people saw. So we are guessing, and that's why we are saying it's a fish. We are looking for everything.
Which is why for me...
Which is
why for
huge.
me...
That's like an ocean, and we don't have the resources to go through the ocean.
Sophia, which is why for me, the proposal is very simple. And this is the position of our party.
Go with what you already have.
Go with what we already have, which is the Auditor General has indicated.
Okay.
Minister Y, PS Y, Cabinet Secretary XYZ has not been able to approve certain. Let's prosecute them.
All right.
Let's stop this other expedition.
We're going to take a break here on Checkpoint. When we come back, we'll talk about the institutions that are charged with prosecuting graft and relation to the budget and the allocation they got, does that empower or otherwise their fight on this? Please stay with us.